I can distinctly remember when I was a kid, I was out in the city with my grandpa one night. I was 7 or 8 maybe, and in one of the skyscrapers I saw a silhouette of a family having dinner. I could see each person, the table, even the chairs. It was beautiful. These people were having a life, eating dinner, just like they would any other night, completely unaware of any spectator. I told my grandpa, and I'll never forget this, seeing those people eat dinner makes me sad. It was so simple, but that moment changed my life forever. I think I was seeing a silent and somber glimpse into what I wanted, what I missed. About a year or two before this, my parents had split up. Not to write a sob story for myself, but seeing those people live a normal life, or at least from what I could see, made me long for the same thing in my own life. So what does this story have to do with liminal spaces? I don't think the eerie feeling created from looking at liminal spaces comes out of thin air. My theory is that this feeling comes from trauma, as all other feelings do. What are liminal spaces? Well, you've been looking at them this whole video. A liminal space is defined as the place a person is in during a transitional period. It's a gap and can be physical, like a doorway, emotional, like a divorce, or metaphorical, like a decision. While this isn't exactly what we're referring to in modern core culture, our modern meaning comes from this. A modern liminal space is a location which is typically abandoned and oftentimes empty. We look at these spaces to get a feeling, this eerie feeling that we can't get anywhere else. It makes us feel alone. There's something that we often overlook about liminal spaces. Almost all of these images are of places that are familiar or nostalgic. Popular examples include malls, schools, birthday parties. See the pattern? These pictures are made to trigger the nostalgia in our brain, but with a scary twist. These pictures are almost always taken at nighttime. They're pictures of our familiar childhood locations, but there's something wrong. Something happened here. Something isn't right. Think about people who are obsessed with horror films or books. Studies that I'll link in the description show that people with trauma are drawn to horror. Something about the fear and anxiety is calming to many. So what are liminal spaces then? Extremely specific horror pieces curated to our trauma-filled childhoods. More psychological studies have shown that we are drawn to our trauma. Fetishes come from trauma. Re-experiencing trauma in some shape or form is deeply calming to our souls. And this doesn't just have to come from our childhood. What's the other main characteristic of liminal spaces, other than them commonly being places familiar to our childhood? They're all empty. They're all alone. Exploring that location would be exploring a completely barren location. You would be alone. Nobody would be there for you. Is that relatable? Trauma from being alone is more common than you might think. Trauma doesn't have to be crippling. If you've gone through severe heartbreak, you have trauma from being alone. Sometimes it feels good to be alone. Once you've experienced that trauma, you know that there's a comfort in reliving it. These images are pitch-perfect examples of being alone. It's a glorified loneliness, an eerie loneliness. You aren't just alone in your room. You're alone in a huge compound for you to explore. One that often can conjure nostalgia. The culmination of loneliness and childhood trauma make liminal spaces an obvious comfort for us. Everything we want to see, everything we want to feel is in one image. Chances are, if you clicked on this video, you can relate to that eerie feeling that comes from looking at these images. So let me ask you, honestly, do you have trauma associated with your childhood? Do you miss the comfort your parents gave you as a child? Have you been alone, or are you alone? Liminal spaces are a special phenomenon. They're nothing short of beautiful and magical. My appreciation of liminal spaces will never dwindle. When no one has been there for me, these places have been. Or maybe they're just like spooky and we like scary stuff. Either way. But there's something more than this. Some part of our brain as humans enjoy a mystery. We like to discover. I mean, you see one of these pictures and you can't help but think of a story behind it. How did I end up here? What is this place? Can I even get out? There's something special about this mystery though. We're given every clue we need, yet we're given nothing. No one's trying to stop us. There's no evil government coming out in black suits if we get too close to the truth. We have no obstacles, but we still can't figure out what's going on. That begs the question, is there an answer? Is there an escape? Maybe I'm not real anymore. Maybe it's a dream. But why here? The very essence of these images demand constant questioning. It's scary. It gives us a rush of adrenaline and dopamine. We have no choice but to be in fear. One really good example of this phenomenon is in the movie I'm Thinking of Ending Things. Spoiler warning, but the movie's about an old man reminiscing over his past life, wondering what he could have done to prevent the loneliness he's living in. He has nothing to live for, he's simply a janitor at a high school, but he wishes he could have done more. The movie is full of liminal spaces. Almost all of the scenes could be seen as one. But there's something special about being inside of a man's dream. It's mysterious. As the viewer, you're not sure what's going on. You're not sure what's gonna happen, or if you're even gonna be okay. You feel trapped, just like the protagonist the movie follows, simply named the woman, who is nothing but a creation of Jake's mind. She actually is trapped. It's terrifying. And meditating over liminal spaces is the closest thing that we can get to also being trapped. Our brains find comfort in being trapped, and being stuck. Fear is a crutch for our stress-filled minds. In the end, all of these feelings come from loneliness. Seeing these images help us express our loneliness. We're all alone in one way or another, and I, for one, am extremely thankful for these images.